Hello, everyone. I'm Melody Ann Owen, and this is Confessions of a Book Coach. And I'm in the process of revising and publishing my book. And this is my video series about that journey. So, welcome. If you haven't been here before, welcome. And if you've been here for a while, this is week 13. Wow. And the beginnings of a book proposal are like starting to come together. Now, writing a book proposal seems to me more challenging than writing the book itself at moments, but that's okay. So, what did I do last week? I always start with what did I do last week? So, like I said I was going to do, I did a first draft of the about the book, about the author, about the market, and about the competition. That's a lot of abouts. So I did start all 4 sections. I said I'd try to get through like a rough draft. I'm definitely not finished any of those sections. So to back up just a little bit, last week I made a decision to actually write a book proposal rather than self-publish. I'm going to send it out to agents and publishers. And, you know, what's the worst that could happen? That sounds like famous last words, right? What's the worst that can happen? I'm expecting lightning to come now. But really, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I could hear no, or I could hear silence. But, I'm kind of expecting that when you are going to send out a book proposal to publishers and agents, very few get through. And so if that's what you get, that's what you get. And if you do get feedback, then that's fabulous too, right? And actually, writing the proposal will be very valuable. So I know that it will slow me down. And that's one of the downsides, because in self-publishing, you can just like resume, publish a book really, really fast. So it will slow me down. But I think the experience will be really, really good for me. Writing a proposal really makes you sit down and think about all the moving parts, think about what the book is about, who the ideal audience is, who else is writing books like yours, what books complement yours, what books are in, competition. I don't really like that kind of about competition, because I believe that if you're going to read one memoir, you're going to read several memoirs. I haven't just read one memoir in my life and thought, that's it. I've read a memoir. Move on, read something else. If I read a memoir and then I love the memoir, I read lots of other memoirs. So when I think about the competition, really what I'm thinking about is similar books and how mine fits into the shelf with those, right? So anyways, it's slowing me down. And honestly, writing a proposal for myself, I find that really challenging. I mean, I'd rather write a proposal for my client's book. So much easier. But I think writing it for myself is going to offer me some insights that maybe I haven't had before. So I'm going to be better at it, not just for myself, but for my clients. So that's something I'm looking forward to. All right. I wrote 5 sections last week, or at least, not full, but drafts or ideas about, I wrote the book concept. And then, as I said, about the book, about the author, about the market, about the competition. So about the book concept was not something I said I was going to write, but I wrote it. So that's good. So about the book and about the author, they were for me the easiest, because I've written both of them in the past. And so for me, now I'm on that like continuous fine-tuning stage. I have a one-liner, I have a short paragraph, I have a more in-depth description. And so now when I'm doing that, I'm just refining and refining and refining. The first time you write about the author, about yourself, like, including for me, the first time I wrote that, it was really challenging. Like, what do I say about me? It can be difficult to figure out like what to say and how much to say, and it can feel like boasting and all of those things. But because I'd done those both in the past, it was easier for me to get that into the proposal. So I have a good first draft on those 2. And then the book concept, that's something that I didn't say I was going to work on, but it's the very first section in the book proposal. And it's there to like generate excitement for your book. That's where you make that big promise, like this is my big idea, or this is my big promise from this book. This is what this book is going to deliver. So I thought I'd just kind of talk a little bit about the book concept section, or the concept section, and what you might put in there. Well, what I put in there, because it's a memoir. So different genres would have different things in the book proposal and in the book concept. But for me, what I did was I wrote, what is The Devil's Daughter all about? Like what, and I don't mean like the plot, but I mean like really like, why does this book exist? And what is the promise of the book? And why is this book important right now, at this time, at this moment in history, at this time with what's going on in the world? I also wrote about the benefits of reading the book. So I talked about the ideal audience and the benefit those readers would get out of reading my book. And since it's a memoir, I also touched on theme. And then I also put something a little bit about me, like why am I the person to write the book? I mean, it's my memoir, so that makes sense. But you know what I mean? You still want to talk about like why you're the right person. So the book concept, as I said, is like that's the first part of my proposal, and that's what like leads into the rest of the proposal. And then after that comes about the book and about the author, and then we get to about the marketing. And I worked on that as well. I found that really challenging, and so I started with the big picture, the big kind of general information. And I need to do more research on the market. For example, who is publishing books like mine? What did they publish earlier this year? What did they publish last year? And where do each of those books fit into the market compared to mine? And so about the market, I mean, that's very general, but I do need to get more specific later. It's not like there are 4 million potential readers of my book. I mean, that might sound fabulous, but it's kind of boring, right? So I really want to like narrow that down and get, the about the market section. I want that to be more exciting. Part of that will be finding out what has been published recently and where my book fits in that. And that kind of leads us into about the competition. Although I think I'm going to start calling it Books Like Mine or Similar Books. I like that better. So that section is then an expansion of about the market. So as I might in the about the market talk about the books and kind of how they fit together, in Similar Books to Mine, I will give the information about that book, the book title, the book author, the year it was published, the publishing house, and then I'll give like a synopsis of how my book is the same, how it's different, and how they, how I guess like compare contrast is a good way of putting it. Kind of compare and contrast those. And so I did find 4 books. And I actually found a couple at my local library. And so I've put them on order. So I've put them on hold so that I can, when they come to my local branch, I can pick them up and then I can take more time looking at them because that's what I need to do. So this section about the competition or books similar to mine, it is going to take me more time as I find the best books to compare. And I am tempted, like every author, to say there is no book like mine on the market. But that is a trap. If there are no books like mine on the market, then there's no market for my book. Or in my case, when I was young, I was looking for books to read like the one I'm writing. And I honestly didn't find anything. There wasn't books quite like what I was looking for. And so I landed up reading books by Holocaust survivors. They were books that I really connected with. And they really, really helped me through some very tough years. Even though the content of them was not what I went through, like they certainly weren't the exact circumstances, but I felt for the people in the books and I admired their spirit and their perseverance and their determination and their, pull themselves up by the bootstraps and to let go of all the bad things that happened to them and move forward. So I recognize how easily I could fall into the trap of there's no book like mine, but that's a fallacy. And that could easily stop me from recognizing where my book fits in the industry, and what opportunities might come to me from that. So This week, that gets us to what am I doing this week? This week, I'm really going to work on about the market and the competition, the similar books, because this will take time and I may need to leave it and come back to it and order books and wait for them to arrive and read through them and all of that stuff. So I may work on another section, but I'm really going to focus on about the market and about the competition. Part of my research is going to be taking a trip to the library or emailing a librarian to find out if one of the YA librarians, because librarians have specialties, if one of the YA librarians have some really good advice for me. Librarians are outstanding people, teeming with valuable information. And so that is it for me. That's what I'm doing. I hope you are enjoying the writing process of your own book and thinking about whether you want to publish, self-publish or not. And either way, either decision you make is good. It's a very personal decision from each author. Thank you for listening today, and I will see you next Monday. Until then, enjoy your week.